evening in Clark County. It's Rob Anderson with Reform Clark County, and we're going to this week take just a quick look at some things going on at the Clark County Council that involve some interesting purchase decisions regarding electric vehicles. And then also we're going to nerd out on charter review. We're going to sit down with Commissioner Peter Silliman and talk about charter review, some amendments that are going on and whatnot. But before we get started, hit the like button, share, give a comment, and please support the efforts here on Reformcast by going to givesendgo.com, Reform Clark County, and you can support this show, our efforts, and help reform Clark County. So this week, not a whole lot going on in the Clark County Council, except they did okay about $600,000 worth of electric vehicles. Now, the taxpayers aren't fully funding, as in the Clark County taxpayers aren't fully funding that $600,000. They're actually only funding about $200,000 additional monies that are coming out of an already stretched budget. You know, we're in a structural deficit. But by the way, no one brought that up. Not one person was concerned about the budget, concerned about that this is adding more money to a budget that is already out of balance. But there was plenty of excitement for these electric vehicles from both Will Fuentes and Glenn Young.
Thank you. Councilor Fuentes, are you excited about backhoes too?
Probably not as excited as Councilor Young, but I do have a couple more questions. I just heard the excitement in his voice. Comparatively, what is the cost of a similar diesel vehicle?
I printed it out just in case you asked. So on the backhoe, for example, the diesel equivalent of the unit that we're purchasing, its purchase price is $135,000. Mm-hmm. We're purchasing one at $400,000. So quite a significant increase.
Yeah.
And on our box trucks, still a significant increase, but in the staff report we did call that out because these are replacements. We would expect about anywhere from $173,000 to $190,000 per unit, and we're spending $380,000 per unit.
So the list price for these box trucks are $386,000, but WAZIP, which is the CCA funded, the Climate Control Act funded slush fund of over $1.5 billion, they're kicking in $135,000 to make it so that the county is basically adding about $120,000 to the general budget. Again, sounds like a small amount, but these numbers start to add up. What's crazy is they decided to purchase a $444,000 electric backhoe that can only run for 4 hours, by the way, without that until you have to charge it. And so they're doing that, which the WAZIP program is going to kick in $333,000. So the county is going to have to purchase for $108,000. So a couple $100,000, just another couple $100,000 being added to the budget that's going to come out of these one-time expenses. But it just seems pretty crazy. But these are your tax dollars. This is what they're using the CCA money for, which only 25% is going towards actual programs to reduce, energy and climate, kind of issues. So we just kind of, it's just crazy as you kind of look at all of that and do the math and the numbers. And it's just a big game to spend those kind of dollars and get that kind of product out of it. The math ain't mathin', as the kids say. So today I have Commissioner Peter Silliman in studio, and we're going to talk about the charter, amendments that are being talked about, and in particular that he's authored, co-sponsored. And so I was really pleased to have Peter in studio. In studio is Commissioner Peter Silliman, and I'm excited that he's here because we get to kind of nerd out on charter review. So welcome Commissioner Peter Silliman.
Commissioner is a big word,
Yeah.
but I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm actually excited about the charter and the charter review process that we're going through, which
Yeah.
is kind of weird because it's kind of one of those niche things that not a lot of people know anything about.
Yeah, most people are like, charter review, is that some like elevated dog catcher kind of, people just don't know what it is. So I'm really glad that you're with us today and we can kind of talk about these. So kind of like walk us through, I know that you have sponsored several of the charter amendments that are being, developed and talked about. Maybe just kind of walk us through the ones that you have authored.
Okay. The ones that I have authored or I'm the lead sponsor on are one that promotes budget transparency by changing the dates on the budget adoption each year. Another one will provide legislative branch employees that report to the county council instead of the county manager. Another one would give the county council the ability to initiate audits of county programs or departments. And the last one would give the county council the ability to investigate citizen complaints or anything else that they wanted to in the administrative branch.
So how many have you put forward?
I put forward several additional ones. One was a public safety amendment, but Ann Donnelly put one forward as well. And after we both got those approved, after what we called a second reading or an initial presentation to the charter commissioners, we decided to kind of merge those together.
Okay.
So I'm a co-sponsor of her amendment, but she's kind of the lead on it.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I proposed that didn't make it through the process this year, but might come back next year, is a property levy increase limit of 1%, which is what we have in state law. But I'm concerned that there's a danger that that limit in state law is going to go away, and we have the ability to add that to our charter. We'll probably see that come back next year, and I think people will like that. Another one that I proposed that didn't make it through this year is one that would require the county auditor or the elections department to investigate and determine if somebody is eligible to vote if they're provided with probable cause by a citizen. So that's a higher standard, or actually a lower standard than what's required by state law. But I think it would increase voter integrity or confidence in our voter rolls.
So how many have you put forward?
So I have 4 in process right now. One of them just got approved last night, and that's the one increasing the budget transparency or modifying the budget process. It increases transparency by moving the dates back where we have budget hearings to allow more public participation, and it allows more time for the county council to consider the product.
Yeah, because right now the way it works is it really just springs on you like late November-ish.
Right.
Boom, all of a sudden, they kind of march out all the department heads, boom, 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 here's this, and then 1st of December, roughly, there's a vote. And so there's a lot of data, and there's not a lot of time to digest it.
That's right. So there are some deadlines in state law about when do you do certain steps, but a lot of it happens behind the scenes, and the public isn't aware of it because nothing's happening in a public meeting. So this actually requires the county manager to present in a public meeting the first week of September what her proposed budget is to the council.
Yeah.
And then it requires the council to modify it and present to the public again in mid-October what their proposed budget is going to look like. And this would be a month before their budget hearing at the end of November. So I'm concerned because last year the first public presentation of it happened like on October 29th, when everybody that's kind of an activist around county government is involved in elections around that time.
Right.
And then the county council adopts the budget on December 2nd.
Yeah.
And so you got elections, which everybody's involved in. Then you got Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
And there's hardly any public participation in the process because of that.
So when you were running last summer, feels like a long time ago. Last summer. I mean, what were your driving? Because as I hear these different charter amendments, I'm hearing, or seeing kind of a theme of like, transparency and more accountability, and the voters and taxpayers maybe having, more access. So what's some principles that are kind of driving as you've authored these, and then maybe author some more? I mean, there's a whole nother year to the term.
Well, I was involved over 10 years ago which was weird, the charter freeholder process. So I got elected as a freeholder, which was really cool. I was one of the only citizens elected. Most of the others were either public figures or actually people that held office, like senators. The sheriff was on the board. We had a lot of legislators that were on the board forming this charter. So that was a great process to go through. And then after that, I got to serve in the county council's office under Tom Milkey for a couple of years. So I got to see how this was implemented a little bit. So I'm aware of some kind of imbalances that the average person probably wouldn't see. So beyond public safety, which a lot of people have become aware of how poorly staffed our sheriff's department has become over the years, we're like at 25% of the national average for staffing. So that was always a lead issue for a lot of us that got elected. But the other ones are about the imbalance down at government. So when we adopted the charter, we were kind of sold this idea of let's separate things and become like a real government where we had the legislative branch and the executive branch.
Yeah. It was quite a sales job, by the way.
But they never really completed it because they never gave the legislature the ability to act independently.
Right.
So that's where 3 of my amendments come is let's give them their own employees so that they can research things from a little bit different perspective than what they're being presented by the executive branch. They can question things a little bit better if they can tell their employee to research the other side of the story. And we also went overboard with the charter prohibiting the council from interfering with the executive branch, but we took away their ability to independently investigate like constituent complaints. So if you're a constituent, you have a problem, you go down to the county council. The charter says, well, they can request
it's
information.
very limited.
But it doesn't, there's no requirement
Yeah.
for that information to be provided.
You know this, but technically people or counselors can't even sit down with a staff person in the county without the county manager blessing it and sitting in the room with them. So it's really a significant kind of drawback. All right, so you've done a lot of work and you've authored, maybe more than any other commissioner.
I hope to have 4 of my amendments on the ballot this year, which would be more than any other individuals. But there are some other good proposals that are coming through that are sponsored by others.
Yeah, what would be some of these other ones? I mean, one last night,
yeah, John Jay
supermajority.
last night got through with Republican supporters. This is nonpartisan, but yeah, it's pretty much the Republicans voting for this balance for government, protecting the citizens from tax increases by simply requiring a supermajority of the council to approve levy increases.
Yeah. As you know, last night I was there, and I've never seen a group of Democrats, 7 Democrats, that are all against the supermajority, which for people, if you don't know, so this is a supermajority requirement to raise taxes on the people. I mean, I think it's, whenever you're going to transfer, take, people's who are on fixed incomes and seniors and all of that, and you're going to take away their income. I don't know. I think it should just be higher standard than, I said last night, than passing a resolution for National Poetry Month. I mean, there should be a higher bar. So this would move it from 3 votes to 4 votes. I don't think that's real radical. I think it's, but it will help add a protection to it. But it was just amazing to see a group of Democrats, 7 Democrats, they are against. I mean, they feel entitled to taxpayer dollars, and they want more money. They think that your money should be in the government more than you keep.
Your money is their money.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never heard a group of Democrats talk bad against minorities as much as I did last night, because one of their main arguments was, oh, well, that would give the minority voice on the county council. That would give the minority voice too much power. And I was just chuckling inside, because I was like, man, I thought you guys were for minority voices, but I guess not when it comes to, hey, don't get in the way of their tax dollars, because they want those tax dollars.
Well, as I pointed out last night, we have a proud tradition in this country of giving power to the minority to prevent things like this. And everybody in the United States is familiar with the Senate filibuster requirements, requiring 60 votes to get significant legislation passed. And that's the same thing this is. And Washington citizens have a track record of passing limitations on their own representatives, because it's even written in our Constitution, the citizens can retain the ultimate political power, and they can limit their political, even elected officials, however they see fit.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing last night was to hear the Democrats argue against it, but at the same time say, if you put this on the ballot, the citizens will pass it.
Yeah.
Very encouraging.
Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, but it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate your support and all the others that supported get that through. So, all right, so you've authored a lot of these. I mean, they're kind of like your babies, kind of like your children. I know you have a lot of kids. You have 12 kids and 12 children. And so, there's always a favorite, right? Even though you can't say as a parent, but you always have a favorite. So of the charter amendments that you've put forward, what's your favorite?
Well, can I share two perspectives here? One is, I think my favorite is going to be the one that just passed last night, which is changing the budget process, because I think it produces more accountability to the public when they're aware what you're going to pass. It gives the council more time to consider what is being proposed in county government. I think that kind of visibility and transparency will affect our government for a long time and bring more accountability. So that might be my favorite one. Plus, a similar amendment passed in Whatcom County last year by over 90%. I think it's going to be wildly popular. But other side of the coin, I think the most important is one that I hope people grasp, and that's the one that gives the legislative branch more power and their own employees, because they need that staff support for the times when they want to push back against the executive branch. They need to be able to pursue and gather information on their own and from a different perspective than the executive branch.
Well, there should be checks and balances, right? I mean, we see that play out nationally. We don't see it play out that much in Olympia, unfortunately, but it should play out in Clark County, where there's ones that don't have skin in the game, who are going to take an honest look at how things are happening, because right now it's just all one-sided. It's the executive branch really has full control.
And I don't fault them. I was an engineer. I had to make job presentations to my boss, but I always knew what did they want to hear to get the job approved. I didn't share information that would make them question whether they should approve this or not. I'm going to keep that to myself and only present the good things. So you need a county council that's our boss, our representatives, that are going to question this a little bit, to dig in and say, is there a bad side to this, or how is this going to affect the citizens? Because that's not always going to be accurately portrayed by staff who has an interest in getting this passed from their perspective.
Yeah, that's true. And so I think it's really important. It'll be kind of tough, because those are nerdy type of amendments to some degree. They don't have the glitz and the glamour that maybe the public safety or even the supermajority. I mean, just whenever you have super in something, it's great, right? So maybe we could do something. Maybe we could have a way to like add a tag into it or something that
we'll have a chance to explain it in the voters pamphlet a little bit. We'll be able to produce videos specifically on these and show how it produces a balance of power, gives your elected representatives more power to balance out the executive branch, which is their intended role. And I think that's what ultimately the voters voted for when they passed the charter, was this separation of power. We just need to have them in charge of actually producing policy and being that check and balance.
So what's been the last question? What's been the biggest surprise to you as commissioner on the charter review? Like anything, maybe like even a pleasant surprise?
Well, I was actually so shocked one time because I had presented an amendment, and I don't remember if it was the legislative branch employees or, the ability of the council to audit, but one of the counselors it's a Democrat, and they piped up and said, "Yeah, I'm in support of this. This makes sense." And she said she could tell I was physically taken back by her voicing support in the commission. But I think the reality is when you consider some of these things, like the one last night, budget transparency, everybody's for it. And there's a couple of hardcore Democrats on our council that didn't vote for it. And maybe they can't vote for anything because it's Pete that sponsored it. I don't know what their reasons are, but I think the public's going to like it. But little surprises like that, where they voice support for something that's common sense, is really appreciated and surprising sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, and thank you for just kind of giving us a little more nerdy update on the charter review. Now, I love it, and but I think people need to hear kind of a little more what's going on.
It's something I wouldn't have done if there wasn't a good potential here to do something that is going to have a lasting impact. So I hope people grasp that at the end of the year and vote for some of these amendments.
Yeah, the charter, people don't realize just how significant it can be, and it can. The implications can last for decades to come, outlive us. That's for sure.
Amen.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate you being
here.
here.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. That's Reformcast this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like, share button, and support the show if you can. Go to givesendgo.com, Reform Clark County, and support the efforts that are going on here. Remember, you are the catalyst to reform. See you next week.